guys, I'm back, and we're here once again to talk about 90 Day Fiance. You're listening to Ebird Online, and as per usual, I've got far too much to say. So who are we going to talk about today? Well, our protagonist today wholeheartedly believes he should be head of the household, even though it's not his household, and he's only been in the house for about 3 days. And for literally the first time ever, I'll give Bilal his due. At least Bilal has a home, a car, an education, has 2 well-adjusted, intelligent kids, and basically has his ducks in order. The same cannot be said for this little twonk. But yes, you guessed it, we're going to talk today about Yves and Mohamed. So guys, Mohamed's not even in my country, yet still, I'd like him to leave. He's an unrepentant misogynist. He's a child masquerading as an adult human, and he's not doing a very good job. Bilal thinks that he should be head of household because he's the man and he's the big earner. Mohamed, what's your reason? Literally, because you were born a man, there's no other reason why you think you can roll in and dictate how things are going from here on in, yet still he thinks he can. And guys, Mohamed's learnt a set of rules, and then he's decided to cherry pick and choose which ones he wants to adhere to and which ones mean everything to him. But just when you guys thought this was going to be somewhat of a rant about Mohamed, Yves, oh dear, I've got plenty to say about your conduct in the last 2 weeks as well. But guys, before we get this shit show on the road, I just want to say thank you so much for all the lovely birthday wishes and messages you guys gave me. I really genuinely appreciate it. And if you want to give me some sort of birthday present, and I know a few of you do, please just click that red subscribe button and join my channel. Come on, you know it makes sense. And so you don't miss any of my content, please don't forget to hit the notification bell. And also smash that like button if you enjoyed today's video. So right, without further ado, I give you Yves and Mohamed. So last week, as Mohamed tried to acclimatise to life in Albuquerque, in fact no, scratch that, last week as Mohamed tried to reinvent the parameters on which life in Albuquerque usually runs, Yves ceremoniously pulled the rug from under his feet. Now usually in the situation I'm going to describe to you, I would feel sorry for Mohamed. But such is his graceless and unappreciative and in fact domineering personality, I really couldn't give 2 shits. So what am I talking about? Yes, Yves. Yves got a baby. Babysitting. This really is a plan primed for immediate failure. Now, Mohamed's got an attitude which smells worse than a rotting corpse, and on that we can all agree. However, last week, Yves did not deal him a good hand. And although he's tested positive for being a moaning dickhead, this week he's still moaning, but he does have one very good mitigating factor, a very valid complaint. But we'll get into that in a moment. So when we first saw this couple last week, they were in bed, but Yves was just dashing off to work. And as per usual, Mohamed the miserable was very unhappy. He said, I can't believe you're leaving me on my own, and I have to make my own breakfast. And then yet again he informs production that his mum usually makes his breakfast for him at home. Oh, Mohamed, she still can, if you F off back to Egypt right now. I'll have a whip round and book the flight. And he continues, my mum did everything for me. If I needed something, she did it, and I expect Yves to do the same. But it's useful at this point, guys, to note that he never ever says any of this to Yves. So all his expectations and all his, my mum does everything and I want the same, are all still completely unrevealed to Yves. How's she supposed to know? And guys, I can tell he's so lily-livered, he's never ever going to say any of this absolutely outright to Yves. He's going to just give that grin of a simpleton and hope she learns by osmosis. Mohamed, she won't. And whilst he was cooking his breakfast, he gave us his best bemused look. Guys, he really has perfected it. Honestly, he does give me village idiot stroke simpleton stroke half-wit vibes. I can't deny it. So bearing this lack of IQ in mind, he decides to try and plumb in the B-Day. Surely this is a job for a plumber. I'm thinking it's going to be pretty similar to plumbing in a sink. And unsurprisingly, with a lack of tools, fixings and intelligence, he was unable to complete the task. And guys, last week when I had my week off, I was thinking about compiling a list of all the different things that people should check for and test for before getting these so-called soulmates from the 4 corners of the unemployment queues scattered around the world. And top of my list was give your soulmate an IQ test. I kid you not, half the people on this franchise are not the full ticket, they're really not. It's highly likely Mohamed repeated a year or 2 at school. Anyway, next time we see Eve and Mohamed, Eve is coming back from work and she's with her son, Theron. They enter the house and I've got to say, I was quite worried at how Mohamed was going to interact with Theron. But what came next was really heartwarming, because Mohamed walked over to him and gave him a really warm hug. And Theron was standing there grinning, saying, "I can't believe you're finally here." And they sat on the sofa and Mohamed had a few gifts for him. Yeah, there were some sort of plastic bugs. No, guys, it wasn't Miona. But yes, he had a few toys for him. And then they all sat and ate a meal of burgers whilst they chatted. And credit where credit's due, Mohamed really did make an effort with Theron. And Theron in turn seemed to be enamoured with Mohamed. And I liked seeing how inclusive Mohamed was of Theron in the conversation. The first meeting went very well, and it was a lot smoother than I thought it was going to be. And Eve, well, she was beaming. She looked like the cat that got the cream. And then she laughed nervously and ominously, and she said, "Oh, he's really comfortable around you." She's right, he is. But that's very possibly because he doesn't yet know you. But what happened next, Eve? You're definitely wrong for this. She laughed nervously again, and then she said, since you're at home all day, it's going to be really helpful to me if you could look after Theron every afternoon." And right when she said this, Theron was standing up, even though they were at the dinner table, and he had his arm around Mohamed and was looking adoringly at him. And Mohamed said, yeah, okay. So in essence, he's just without consultation or without thought process agreed to looking after Theron, who has a multitude of different mental and physical problems, every afternoon, on an ongoing basis. And then Eve said to production, "Since Mohamed can't work, and I have to work and support us both, it's going to be his role to look after Theron so he can assist me. And sometimes it may not just be the afternoon, it may be the whole day. But I really trust Mohamed to look after Theron." What? Mohamed has just finished saying he can't look after himself. He can't cook his own breakfast. He's just made you put ketchup onto his plate. He doesn't want to cook or clean or do anything for himself. When he was back at home, he didn't even work. All he did was go to the gym all day and surf the internet, looking for mugs like you to take him on. Yet you think he's capable of looking after Theron. Even Mohamed knows he's not. But guys, this is literally Eve's worst idea since, well, responding to Mohamed on Instagram. There are so many things wrong with this idea, I don't know where to begin. But begin I will. Number 1. The first thing is, she asked him in front of Theron. She put him in a position where he was unable to politely decline. He couldn't really say no without upsetting adorable Theron. And number 2, she's clearly never discussed this before with Mohamed, so she may have said, maybe you can help me out with my son from time to time, but I don't think she's actually said, every single day you will look after him from this time to this time. And problem number 3 is the fact that Theron's only known Mohamed for 45 minutes, and in fact, Eve's only known him just a little bit longer. Neither one of you know him, so why are you entrusting your child with basically what's little more than a random stranger? And the fourth thing is, of course we know that Theron has physical and mental health problems, but let's not forget, Mohamed's not the full ticket. You're asking a child to look after another child. It wouldn't surprise me at all if within a couple of weeks of this new job that Mohamed's got, Theron's looking after bloody Mohamed. Guys, I can really see it happening. The fifth problem is Theron has a catheter which needs changing every 3 hours. And as we know, Mohamed needs a whole B-day to deal with his own shit. So what's the likelihood that he's going to want to deal with Theron's every hour on the hour? I'm doubting it. The sixth problem is, as far as I'm concerned, this is probably a job for a trained professional. More than likely, the reason that she has a problem getting a babysitter is that it doesn't just need a babysitter. You need someone with specific mental and physical disability health training in order to look after Theron properly. I've got a very, very good friend who works at a university, and it's her job to help students get through their degrees if they have things like autism, which I think Theron has as well as people that are deaf and blind and so on. And she's been on 1,000,001 mental health awareness courses. And she has excellent interpersonal and communication skills. And she's also extremely empathetic. This is what this kind of job needs, I think. Does that sound like Mohamed to you? No, it doesn't. And as for empathy, well, Mohamed's drawing a big old blank. And issue number 7 is the fact that it's unfair on Mohamed. And now far be it from me to stick up for Mohamed. I'm more likely to swipe right for Big Ed. But he's brand new in America, he hasn't yet found his feet, and you're basically giving him a job which ties him to the house every single day. Obviously he knew he was coming into a family, and he should have reasonably expected he was going to have to do some childcare, but this is kind of veering on a job. I don't know what the answer to this problem that Eve has with regard to the care of Theron, and I'm going to discuss it more at the end of the video, but for me, this ain't it. But guys, let me know in comments what you think to this issue. And let's go over right now to find out what are Mohamed's thoughts. Well, Mohamed's unhappy. Who'd have thunk it? He said, I feel more like a babysitter than a fiance. I left everything, my family, my friends, everything. Oh God, Mohamed's everything is nothing, we all know that. He left the gym and his mother's bosom. But anyway, he left everything to be here, and he's not prepared to do these female duties during the next 90 days. Can't say I'm surprised. And the final time we see this couple, Mohamed's playing in the living room with Theron, and Eve is with the plumber, who's installing the bidet in the bathroom. Mohamed wandered into the bathroom and said, what's going on here? And he said, you cannot be on your own with a man in the house. And so Eve said, well, I'm not on my own. You're here. Eve, for the first time, Mohamed's right. You are on your own because I hate to tell you. Literally, Mohamed doesn't count. You're totally alone if you're with Mohamed. But he's not having any of it. And he said, if somebody comes to the house, you come and get me. And she said, but where am I supposed to go then? And he said, well, you need to go outside. What? In her own home? This is crazy, guys. And to production, Eve said, I'm really annoyed as I feel like I'm being scolded. And she said to Mohamed, well, where should I stand? And he said, well, you need to keep a decent distance away. And if you need something doing and I'm not at home, then call me and we'll figure something out. Oh, don't worry, Mohamed. You'll always be at home because you'll be babysitting 40 hours a week. But Eve said, I didn't know this was a rule. And Mohamed said, well, yes, it is. And she said, well, I'll start making a list of your rules, shall I? And he said, yes, do. Add this to the list. And she said, I was joking. Unfortunately, Eve, Mohamed isn't. There's a list and it's a very long list. And I've got a feeling he's going to expect you to follow it to the letter of the law. And she said, but I'm not a Muslim. He said, I didn't ask you to be. But I'm a Muslim man and you've got to get used to these rules. And she said, but you're in America. And he said, well, I am who I am. In order to make me comfortable, you need to learn these rules. And Eve said sulkily, okay. Why are you saying okay, Eve? Tell him, no, I'm not a Muslim and I don't want to adhere to Muslim rules. But instead she decides to say nothing and just moan to production. And she said, I didn't know there were all these rules. And if Mohamed is expecting me to change the way that I live, then I don't think this relationship's going to work. And that's where we end things for this week. So what does the Ebird make to all of this? Well, the first thing I'm going to say is I like the fact that Eve's already of the thought process that this relationship is not definite and she needs to get to know him and his rules. And if it's not okay with her, then I guess she's not going to marry him. And given the rules he's said so far, I think it's going to turn out that it's not okay with her. What I do find quite interesting though is Eve dropped the baton on this. Firstly, she hasn't had any in-depth conversations with Mohamed on what being a Muslim means and how they're expected to live and coexist together before applying for the visa and bringing him over. And that was a massive mistake on her part, I think. Most of the things that Mohamed wants, for example, Eve to treat him just like his mother does. She doesn't even know yet. He said all of this shiz to production. We know, but Eve still doesn't know. Wait till she catches an earful of all of that. But what's sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander. By the same token, Eve, you didn't let him know how life was going to be for him. So you should have also told him about looking after Theron and what you expect of him. And again, just like Bilal, you've got him over on one pretense. And now he's here, it's 1, 2, switcheroo, here's the shiz that you must do. Suddenly he's daddy daycare. And I recognise Eve's in a very difficult position, so I've come up with a few ideas of how to solve this issue. And the first one is that Mohamed's allowed to get used to Theron for a month or two before he starts any of this babysitting, so he can learn as much about Theron and his conditions as possible. I think that Eve should probably still look for a babysitter, but if the babysitter cancels or falls through, then she knows she's got a safety net in Mohamed to look after him at short notice. Another idea might be for Eve to consider practicing her acupuncture and her massage from home, because then possibly she'd be in the house more and Mohamed wouldn't feel like he's just on his own with Theron. I understand that she wants to utilise Mohamed whilst he's not working, but this should have all been talked about before he came. But I think the main thing that's going to do for this relationship is the fact that Mohamed is an unrepentant misogynist. And his thought process is that the man is the man of the house and Eve must do as he says. And given that he's somewhat simple and quite childlike, that's going to be very, very galling for her. I honestly think that Eve should have listened to her friends more and listened to and discussed it more with other people, because they might have brought some of these issues to the fore before she decided to invite him over. Your friends are friends for a reason, and they've usually got your best interests at heart. Deciding not to discuss the situation with other people just because she mightn't like what they say was a move which is nothing short of imbecilic. I like Eve, she's a good person, but she's extremely naive. And I believe that she's gone for Mohamed simply because of how he looks and how he makes her feel. And it could also be just that good old-fashioned loneliness. She's a single parent with a very full career and a son that needs a lot of looking after, and she needed some me time. But she should have put a lot more thought into who that person was and how that person would fit into her life before making a move. She's very pretty, she's intelligent, and she's in good shape. There's 1,000,001 eligible men in America. Choose one of them. Choose somebody with the same value system as you. And also, choose an adult. But of course, my final bit of ire is going to be for Mohamed. Mohamed keeps going on and on about everything he's given up to be here. But he didn't have a job, and all he did every day was go to the gym. Mohamed, you wanted to come to America, so what is it you've given up? Your mum? He's always sounding off about something or other. Mohamed, calm down. Take a deep breath. And then hold it for about 20 minutes. Or until you pass out, whichever is sooner. I've travelled all around Egypt and I've been many, many times. No spaghetti tops and batty riders for me. Mohamed needs to realise he's in the US now, and there are a different set of customs. And to some extent, Mohamed already realises this. It always gets my goat when people pick and choose from a set of rules just to find what suits them. Mohamed, you shouldn't even be living in the same house as Eve, unmarried. You shouldn't be sleeping in the same bed as her, unmarried. That bit of Islam, that doesn't bother you. But her inviting somebody in to plumb in the B-Day for you, that's a no-go. Really? There should be give and take on both sides, but you can't expect somebody to live as a Muslim whilst in their own country, under their own roof, and living on their own dime. I think you'll find, Mohamed, we've now moved on to the third wave of feminism, and this dipstick still doesn't want women to have the vote. So yeah, that's about it. These two do not know each other at all. No boundaries have been set. They have very little in common, and their differences far outweigh any similarities they may have. And guys, I've got to say, I've yet to see the appeal. So let me know, what do you think? Do you think Eve was out of order in asking Mohamed to look after Theron every day? And what do you think about Mohamed? Does he have the right to say, I'm a Muslim man and I want you to acquiesce to my every demand? Let me know in comments down below and I'll get on with my next video. Guys, once again, thank you to everyone who's subscribed to my channel. And thank you so much to everyone who writes comments. You guys have been cracking me up in the comments section. But before I go, please don't forget to like and subscribe and all of that good stuff. And I'll see you soon. You've been listening to Ebird Online and I bid you good day.